Well, finally got back to work. It's been quite a while, I know. But anyways, that's how things go. Life happens. And anyways, I'm back to work on it. I'm working on it and took off the suspension on the right side where you saw me working last. In the process of getting the suspension off the left side, it's just about done, and you'll recognize the idler arm and the cross member. And everything else is out. And gotta get the brake line out up front here. And I think I am done in the front. Thank God. So anyways, maybe you'll notice I'm a little bit wider here now. I used to have to fake the widescreen by putting a black block here and a black block down there. And now I got a new camera and a new microphone, and I'm just trying them out right now, feeling them out, learning how to use these things. And the microphone is just mounted on top of the camera right now instead of being close, like if I was making a production or something. But these are more or less home movies, so however it comes out is how it's going to come out. Anyways, I get to play around with the camera anyways. It's a high definition camera, pretty happy about that, so hopefully this looks better. And I'm going to be using that to shoot a short film called Musclin', which features some muscle cars, of course, but it's got a very interesting story as well, with a holy crap twist at the end that I think you'd really appreciate. Hoping to start shooting that about July 31st. But anyways, I was hoping to get this thing done this week. This is now Friday, July 16th or 17th, something like that. And I was on vacation last week, on vacation this week, and just was hoping to work on the car this week. We went away to Arizona last week, and of course had some things that had to be caught up that I couldn't do while I was on my regular work schedule, so we got those done first, and then I got to work on the car. Found something very interesting with the car, and quite surprising too. The brake calipers on my XA are actually from an XD or an XE. They are the PBR calipers, but they've got these huge pins that go all the way through the top part and the bottom part for the caliper to ride on. The XA should have a sleeve and smaller pins that go through the sleeve, but mine aren't like that. I'll show you. As a matter of fact, take a look at these pictures here, and you can see what I was up against. Still couldn't get the pins all the way out. So just took the thing off, and I'll worry about getting them apart later, and I'll decide what to do about that later as well, because I do have mounting brackets for the calipers from a 71 to 73 Mustang, and I might actually be using those, and I can use the Mustang calipers and brake pads. And here in the United States, to get the appropriate rotors, the brake rotors, I understand I can use rotors from like a 71 Mercury Cougar. So that's what I would be getting for the rotors anyways, because I don't want to use the old rotors that I had. They look pretty thin, or at least the driver's side one really looks thin. So anyways, I'm going to give you a little bit of show around here, and you can see hopefully some of the progress that I've made. And then the next thing we have to do is jack up the rear end, put it on jack stands, and drop the axle and the leaf springs and the brake lines that are back there. And then I have some steel that I bought in order to make a cart to put this on. Got some cutoffs from a welding shop, pretty cheap, 65 pounds of steel for $32. Can't beat that, especially when it comes to tubing. And I got a set of really nice wheels from a flea market. And the guy said you could put anything on them because he was using them to rebuild cars. So that goes along really well. So I have no reservations about using these wheels. They're certainly heavy duty, and I got them for a steal. They were like $50 for all four of them. Maybe it was $40 for all four of them, $10 a piece. And probably couldn't get them for $35 a piece, so pretty happy about that. So anyways, that's all I got for this second. Let's see what I'm going to show you next. Well, here's the right side suspension where I was working yesterday, or not yesterday, but rather in the last video. Seems like yesterday. And finally got that all apart. And you can see over here that's the right side lower control arm and wheel assembly. PBR XD or XE brakes, and that's the left upper control arm, and the right upper control arm is underneath it there. And yeah, as you can see, I have like no room to be working in here. But anyways, I got one brake line left to go, and that's got a fitting that connects down under there, and I'll separate the two lines and then take that line out of there, or maybe I just leave it all together. I have to crawl underneath yet and find out what it's looking like. Maybe I could just drop the line out as one piece. And this is where I'm working on the left side suspension right now. All I got to do is drop the lower control arm, and that'll be done. And there you can see that's the secret method of how to hold the screws for the idler arm while you take the nuts off. So that's my progress so far, and shortly we'll be underneath this thing and working on the rear suspension. But I can finally say the front end is done, and make sure you don't trip over your jack stands. If you're following my Facebook, you will notice the post where I said I only have one bolt holding the rear axle in, and that's it right there. Everything came out just fine, with the exception of this bolt. And put a ratchet on it and turned it, and the sleeve that goes through the rubber bushing is turning too. So it's a real pain. So I tried putting some vice grips on it and prying it out that way, and with a pry bar, and that didn't work. Then I tried getting a hammer, the claw hammer underneath there, and beating on the hammer to try to get underneath there. That didn't happen. And I got a chisel, put that underneath there, and tried to get underneath of it so I could pull up on it, and that ain't happening either. So it's time for the air tools. Ain't working either. Nothing works so far. So here's where I'm at. The bolts are out of the rear shackles. The bolt is out of the front eye on the driver's side. For all my American friends, remember that is the driver's side. And I also checked to make sure that the leaf spring is not binding the bolt up here. So everything's in alignment. And the other side came down no problem. Or rather, the bolt came out no problem. And this one, the bolt is stuck to the sleeve going through the eye of the spring. So if you have any neat nifty tricks to get these things out, go ahead and post it down there in the comments and let me know. For your information, there's about maybe 4 inches on the other side, the nut side of the bolt, and there's not a heck of a lot of room. I know with pickup trucks people will put a bottle jacket in there between the frame and the bolt, and use the jack to push the bolt out, which is pretty handy, but there isn't that kind of room here in this project. So yeah, if you got any ideas how to get this bolt out, go ahead and post them down there. Let me know, because this is driving me nuts and I'm about burned out on it, at least for tonight. So let me know, and hopefully in the next video I'll let you know who came up with the answer to this, and I'm pretty sure more than one of you guys can figure that out. Thanks.